hotel in Havana rose to 26. Former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva officially announces his presidential candidacy for the general elections to be held in October. France's Emmanuel Macron was sworn in for his second term as president on Saturday. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news, and we will do so in Cuba. The death toll after Friday's explosion at the Saratoga hotel in Havana rose to 26. The information was provided by the coordinator of the government of Havana, Oreste Llanes, to local media. According to Llanes, at least 22 of the deceased have been identified so far. The government coordinator also informed that of those who died, 3 were from the province of Holguín, 1 was from the city of Matanzas, and the rest were from Havana. According to the latest reports, there were also more than 70 people injured by the explosion. Llanes pointed out that the coordinated actions of the province's agencies are being maintained in order to provide a timely response to the accident. And on the accident at the Saratoga Hotel in Havana, the chief of Cuba's civil defense, Ramon Pardo Guerra, highlighted the quick and joint efforts of the society and the island's authorities.
There was a joint and a rapid action of the whole system organized by the civil defense. We are the force acting at the time, the firefighters, the rescuers, the party force, the government and human solidarity, that is, the people who were on the spot, who were the first to help.
After concluding at the Revolution Palace the meeting called by the Cuban government on the accident at the Saratoga Hotel, President Miguel Díaz-Canel offered an official statement. During the meeting, the Cuban president assured that all efforts are focused on attending to those injured in the accident and hospitalized, as well as to the families of the deceased. He also pointed out that the reaction of state institutions and rescue teams has been immediate. The work of securing the structure of the building and the search for people trapped inside is in progress, and evaluation will be made later to determine if the hotel can be remodeled or if it will have to be completely demolished due to damage caused by the explosion. According to the president, the families whose houses were affected by the explosion that live in the surroundings of Saratoga Hotel are being relocated to safe places and will be assisted in an appropriate and continuous manner, while recovery actions continue in the accident zone. In addition, the damage to the hotel structure and nearby buildings is being assessed. The children who were in the elementary school next to the hotel will be relocated to other schools in the area to continue the current educational course as of Monday of next week. The local authorities stated that they will provide them and their families with all the assistance they require. Likewise, Miguel Díaz-Canel highlighted the responsibility and sensitivity of the local authorities who acted quickly when the event occurred. Also recognized the popular mobilization which immediately contributed with blood donations for the injured during the accident. The population is also looking for various ways to help the people affected by the accident. Signs of support both within the country and in various parts of the world were observed on social media throughout the day. The Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel expressed his gratitude for the solidarity shown by several friendly countries around the world in response to the unfortunate accident that caused large material and human losses, according to preliminary data reported at the government meeting. Meanwhile, authorities continue rescue operation for possible people still trapped in the rubble of the building. Local authorities have said the blast was caused by a gas leak. Firefighters have cordoned off the area as precautionary measures due to the risk of collapse posed by the damaged building. Rescuers are still searching for possible survivors under the debris and have evacuated neighboring schools and residential buildings. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel and other governmental officials were at the site right after the explosion and have also visited the injured at the hospitals where they are being treated. In Cuba, citizens mobilized to provincial bank in the capital to donate blood in solidarity with the victims of the explosion at the Saratoga Hotel in Havana. Members of the University Student Federation, the Union of Young Communists, Chancellery workers, and other civil society organizations and institutions responded to the call of authorities. In this context, President Diaz-Canel said that he was moved and touched by the immediate response of students and young people in the capital who have come up to donate blood for the injured. For his part, the General Coordinator of the Committees for the Defense of the Revolution, Gerardo Hernandez, said in a tweet that he was at the blood bank where comrades extended their arm in solidarity to the victims of the painful event at the Saratoga Hotel. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. This Saturday, the former president of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, officially announced his presidential candidacy for the general elections in October. The activity took place in the city of Sao Paulo. At the event headed by former President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, it was launched the Let's Go Together for Brazil movement, which brings together the 7 political parties that support Lula. It also includes multiple unions and social organizations such as the Landless Movement. The Workers' Party pointed out that the movement Let's Go Together for Brazil seeks to return the nation to the path of social justice, economic growth, sovereignty, and democracy. The President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, arrived this Friday in Tegucigalpa, where he was received by his Honduran counterpart Xiomara Castro. The Mexican president visits the country as part of his international tour of Central America and the Caribbean. During a press conference, both presidents called for strengthening cooperation in different sectors and agreed on the need to advance in alternative development models to neoliberalism in order to benefit the great majorities. The meeting between the presidents took place after Castro completed her first 100 days in office. Honduras is the third stop in the working tour that Mexican President López Obrador is making to 4 Central American nations and Cuba. France's Emmanuel Macron was sworn in for his second term as president on Saturday, promising to lead the country with a new method as his political rivals kicked off campaigning for next month's legislative elections. In a country where presidents rarely get re-elected, Macron won 58.5% of the votes in the second round against far-right's Marine Le Pen, despite strong opposition to his pro-business policies and a proposal to raise the retirement age. In a short speech, he spoke of the need to innovate at a time of unprecedented challenges for the world and from France, and said his second term would be new and not merely a continuation of his first 5 years in office.
To act relentlessly with a course that of being a more independent nation, of living better, and of building a French and European response to the challenge of our century. This action, as we all know, comes at a time in the life of our nation when there are many fears, as well as divide.
Cette action, nous le savons tous.
Russia presented in the United Nations new evidence of war crimes committed by the Ukrainian army and nationalists. The Russian ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebensia, announced at the Security Council that the Ukrainian army has systematically violated international law. Nebensia drew the attention of his colleagues to the installation by the Ukrainian armed forces of heavy equipment in residential areas and the use of civilians as human shields, which constitutes a violation of international humanitarian law. The diplomat accused the Western media of distorting the facts in Kyiv, despite being aware of what is really happening in the country. Russian Foreign Ministry stated on Friday that Russia does not intend to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine.
We have to stay ready for any development of events, both in the media field and directly on the ground. We have repeatedly had to refute insinuations about Russia's possible use of nuclear weapons during the special military operation in Ukraine. This is a deliberate lie. Russia firmly adheres to the principle that there can be no winners in a nuclear war, and it must not be unleashed.
We now go to Luhansk. We have a report from our special envoy in Ukraine, Alejandro Kerb, right outside a former prison northwest of Luhansk People's Republic.
This is Palavinkino, a former prison northwest of Lugansk, used by the Aidar neo-Nazi battalion to imprison, torture, and kill political prisoners.
This is where they took us inside. There was a table, a chair, there was a deck with an axe on it. And this is where the beatings, interrogations, torture, and all the other things. In this particular place, as you can see, here they also tried to cover their tracks, broke everything up. Interrogate people, mock them. After the interrogation, they took people back down to the same stairs to the cell, where they were washing us and pouring water on us. This is where they were washing to see if we were alive or not. They could have thrown anything.
That's it from Palavinkino prison near northwest of Lugansk.
There are new developments at the Azovstal steel plant in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol, while the Russian Defense Ministry and the Donetsk militia try to establish humanitarian corridors to evacuate civilians. Nationalists and mercenaries are holding them hostage and demanding food and water to free them. According to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, a third operation to evacuate civilians is underway. However, nothing is being said about the 15 people used by Ukrainian nationalists as a bargaining chip. The method previously used in Syria when Daesh terrorists executed civilians if their demands were unheard is the response of the pro-Nazis to the Russian proposal to surrender with full respect to the Geneva Accords and under the protection of the United Nations and the International Red Cross. 2 weeks ago, Moscow claimed that in intercepted calls to Kiev, the mercenaries proposed their surrender, but they were threatened to be killed if they did so. Dozens of military vehicles and personnel marched through the streets in Moscow on Saturday as part of the rehearsals for the annual military parade on May 9th to commemorate Victory Day in the Great Patriotic War. Among the military equipment featured in the rehearsal were Topol-M intercontinental ballistic missiles, T-14 Armata tank, and the Soviet medium tank that became a symbol of the victory of the Nazi Germany during World War II. The T-34 in addition to the flag of the Russian Federation. Spectators at the event also carried symbols of the Red Army, whose members hoisted the red flag over the Reichstag on May 2, 1945. The parade became an annual event after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991. Under Vladimir Putin administration, Victory Day has become a chance to remember the sacrifices of World War II. And we have more news coming up after the final short break, so don't go away. From the south, Israeli forces on Saturday destroyed the home of a Palestinian accused of killing an Israeli settler last year. Clashes broke out when Israeli forces raided a village in the occupied West Bank and demolished the house of a Palestinian they said killed an Israeli settler last December. Using explosives, soldiers destroyed the home of Omar Yaradat on Saturday in a village near the flashpoint city of Jenin. A statement by the Israeli army said, Israel accuses Yaradat of being part of a Palestinian Islamic Jihad cell that shot dead an Israeli settler near the illegal Homesh settlement last year. Human rights groups regularly condemn Israel's policy of home demolitions as collective punishment. 2 years into an unprecedented economic crisis that spurred a mass exodus of mostly college graduates, doctors and nurses, Lebanese expatriates began casting their votes for parliamentary elections on Friday. It is the second time in the country's history that citizens residing abroad, some 225,000 people, are able to vote for their 128 representatives in elections set to be held at home on May 15th. This will be the first election held since protesters massively took to the streets in 2019 against the country's entrenched ruling elite, widely blamed for the economic collapse. After voting is over, officials will ship the ballot boxes through private companies to Lebanon's central bank. Those votes will be counted after May 15. The opposition has pinned their hopes on the diaspora. However, experts say elections are expected to uphold the status quo despite years of economic meltdown.
As you all know, the first voting poll opened at 17:30 in the Islamic Republic of Iran, and just a little while ago the voting poll was opened in Cairo in the Arab Republic of Egypt. The process is going smoothly and democratically, without any problems. If any violations are to take place, the monitoring team at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the European Union Election Observation Supervising Team, or the Election Observation Missions will address the contravention immediately, along with the head of the center, the chief of mission, or the consul general.
Striking miners at South Africa's second largest coal producer, Sibanye-Stillwater, say they are extending their strike until they get a pay raise. Thousands of workers have been demanding a $63, which is about 1,000 rands monthly increase, for 2 months. The Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union and the National Union of Miners, which represents nearly 30,000 employees, declared a strike on March 9th after negotiations with the mining group's management failed. Miners last weekend booed President Cyril Ramaphosa out of the May Day celebrations, who had to cut short his speech and evacuated out of the scene. Later acknowledged a loss of confidence among the middle class. Workers have not been paid since March 9th and have lost about $63 million in wages. And we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.